supposed to have happened. It's time to talk about some powerful tarot techniques of divination and clairvoyance that few tarot readers will know or ever even have heard of. As you know, my favourite tarot spread is the opening of the key spread used by the Golden Dawn. It's a very powerful system of divination, and one of the interesting characteristics of it is that you don't need to know the meanings of the cards very well. In fact, after 35 years, my knowledge of the meanings of cards is probably worse now than it's ever been. It's not the meanings of the cards that count. I'm sorry to say that to all the people who go on these courses, but it's the energy of the cards. And with the opening of the key spread, there's 2 or 3 techniques. We have the card counting, the card pairing, and the elemental dignities, among other things. And the combination of these 3 things helps you to understand and know the energy. And it's the energy not of the cards, but between the cards. And when I read the cards, I spread them out, I found them out like this. So when I read them, I'm actually reading the energy of the cards in different places. It's a very powerful technique. There is, in magical circles, there's a thing known as the magical mirror. And it's this magical mirror that occultists use to develop their scrying skills. Tarot uses exactly the same skills, and I'm going to show you how this is done. Now, to do this, I'm going to have to talk to you about Kenneth Grant. He was an occultist who was a friend of Aleister Crowley, and he died on the, when did he die? January the 15th, 2011. He was the head of the Typhonian OTO in this country, and a controversial figure, and he wrote quite a few books. Here are the main ones. Oh God, right. They're heavy. To join if you want to join the Typhonian OTO, you're expected to read all these books. Which is a bit of a joke, really, because they're kind of like occultist coffee books. You have them there to show that you have them, but you don't actually read them. So I actually have read these books quite a few times, and they're interesting because Kenneth Grant uses a technique of kind of jumping between things. They're not kind of necessarily in the chronological or sequential order that facilitates things, and it's done deliberately. And I don't know whether you know this, but I often find that the most interesting books on tarot are the ones that don't have tarot in the title. One really good example of this is Outside the Circles of Time. So we've passed this Aeon, we started a new one, and this book is very much about new aeons. And he also talks a lot about the techniques, the magical techniques, voodoo techniques of Michael Bertio. Who's a controversial figure in America in voodoo circles, very powerful magician. He has his own kind of this book called the Gnostic Voodoo Workbook. So nothing there says tarot, and in fact, to be honest with you, there's nothing in the chapters, because there's 18 chapters here, okay, and there's nothing here that makes you think, oh my God, this is a book about tarot. So why am I talking about it? Well, in one of these 9 books is a clear reference that says that clearly equates this book, Outside the Circles of Time, with a tarot. I'm not going to tell you which one, because I've read these books, and someone else, you know, if you want to find it, you have to read these books too. And you get full marks for stamina, basically, for doing that. So if someone wants to actually sort of send a message on YouTube and telling me which one it is, or my website, supertarot.co.uk or newtarot.com, you can tell me the reference, and I think you'll find it quite interesting as well. So, what is it about this book that is about tarot? It's found in page 12 of the introduction to Outside the Circles of Time. And this book, so the point I'm trying to make is that this tarot connection is not about the content, it's about the function of this book. So the function of tarot is to find out knowledge and information through non-ordinary means in some cases. So we want to look at this thing. So the tarot, the techniques of the opening of the key spread, card counting, pairing, elemental dignities, and all these sort of techniques. And it's about the energy of the relationship between the cards and the energy between them. So this is Kenneth Grant's purpose for writing this one. I think this book in particular, and it probably accounts for all the other books as well. He says, "It is not my purpose to try to prove anything. My aim is to construct a magical mirror capable of reflecting some of the less elusive images seen as shadows of a future aeon. This I do by means of suggestion, evocation, and by these oblique and in-betweenness concepts." In-betweenness concepts? That Austin Osman Spare defined as neither neither, or neti neti. This is understood. When this is understood, the reader's mind becomes receptive to the influx of certain concepts that can, if received undistortedly, fertilize the unknown dimensions of his consciousness. In order to achieve this aim, a new manner of communication has to be evolved. Language itself has to be reformed, revivified, and given a new direction and new momentum. And it kind of goes on. So, I mean, as anyone who's tried to read Kenneth Grant books knows, he invents words, or gives words new meanings and nuances, and just kind of plays around with language and things like this. But the key thing here is the magical mirror. Now, what is a magical mirror? First, I've got to say that it's not Harry Potter, and it's not anything to do with Sleeping Beauty. The magical mirror is a kind of a misnomer, because you actually need two magic mirrors to do this. Two mirrors. Now, the first mirror could be an ordinary mirror. The second mirror is actually made from a picture frame, a small, something this size, something like that. And you take the glass out and clean the glass, and you paint the back of the glass matte black, and you do this 3 or 4 or 5 coats with intention. So when you hold it up to light, no light, you can't see any light between it. And then you put the mirror back in the frame with the painted side at the back, and it's about holding the mirrors between themselves like this. And it's the energy between those two mirrors. That is what you're looking for. So that is the magical mirror. And so there's an equivalence, if you like, between the tarot, the reading between the cards, and which develops. The interesting thing about when you use the opening of the key spread is that you start seeing things that aren't in the cards. Something else happens, something magical. And this is the technique. Kenneth Grant also talks about voltagers, the leapers. These people go from one dimension to another. And the same thing happens with tarot, with the card counting as well. You're counting from things to things, okay? And this also generates the energy. So just by, in the same way that Kenneth Grant extended the concept of the magical mirror from just having these two mirrors like this and just seeing the energy between them, to writing these techniques where he jumps about a lot and plays with things in his writings. And also with the tarot, where you're looking at it's not the images, it's not the meanings of the cards, it's the energy between the cards. So this is a powerful technique. I can't emphasize just how powerful a technique this is. You won't find this on tarot courses because they don't know. And we have magicians who know about these things and they don't tell tarot readers as well. So this is a secret, and don't tell anyone, okay? This is between you and me. Don't tell magicians, we know these things. But do learn the opening of the key spread. And there's my book, The Tarot and the Magas, and also Beyond the Celtic Cross. Both of those books, it's using these techniques. It's really seeing the tarot as a magical mirror. And when you do that, doors open, and you're able to perceive, not just in a reading, it doesn't just happen in that, you actually find these techniques work for you in your life. So somebody mentions someone and you just find the energy and you perceive something about that person that you didn't know you could do before. This is the true power of the tarot, to understand this idea of neti netta and neither neither. It's not this and it's not this, it's something else. So we're in the year, it's 2012, it's December the 23rd. Happy Christmas to you all. I hope to do more talks about Kenneth Grant's writings. So if you have read Kenneth Grant's writing, I'd be interested to know whether you spotted the reference that tells, that equates this book, Outside the Circles of Time, with tarot. And I'd be interested to see your views on this.